Zinhilmadikan performed her favourite sleight of hand beneath a canted street lamp on St. George's Mall, the cold breath of Atlantic winter riding the evening wind down the pedestrian corridor. She wore a threadbare velvet blazer and a top hat borrowed from a costume shop that had gone out of business. She had never paid for anything she could lift without being noticed. With a flick of her wrist, she transformed 3 bottle caps into silver coins, pretending to pluck them from the air. A semicircle of tourists and late commuters clapped and laughed, their faces pink from the chill. While the applause swelled, Z's real act unfolded in the spaces no one watched. Her fingers brushed a spectator's pocket, retrieving a tram pass and returning it before he felt the shift of weight. 2 steps to the right, she bumped an investment banker's briefcase, palming the cell phone he'd left half unzipped in a side compartment. The coins glittered in her left hand. The right hand, hidden by the swirl of her blazer, deposited the phone into the false bottom of the prop table she'd wheeled from her apartment in Woodstock. It was a tidy evening hall, and she intended to end the show with a burst of confetti and disappeared down an alley before the city's plainclothes security started their nightly sweep. She bowed, raised her hat to collect tips, and let the clamour of gratitude wash over her like warm rain. That was when she saw him. He leaned against a lamppost at the fringe of her audience, older than her by a decade, maybe 2. Long dreadlocks threaded with copper beads framed a face too still for a Cape Town winter night's frivolity. His coat, no, not a coat, a robe, was the muted yellow of desert sand at dawn, the woven fabric shimmering as though stitched from sunlight. Around his neck hung an oval locket no wider than a R5 coin, suspended on a black leather cord. The locket caught the street lamp's glow and turned it cold, the way moonlight turns water into glass. Z didn't need her hustler's intuition to know that locket was valuable. The tingling in her knuckles told her so. She finished her routine, showered the crowd in paper confetti cut from junk mail, and waded through the applause toward the man in the robe. He did not clap. His eyes, silver grey like fish scales, tracked her with a silent gravity. "Sir," she said, extending a hand as if to shake. "Thank you for coming. Tips are welcomed, but not required." He inclined his head, and his mouth softened, almost smiling. "Your performance bends light well," he said, voice as even as a tuning fork. "Do you know what you are?" "A starving artist," Z answered, grin practiced. "An unintended herald," he replied. "Guard your hands. Tonight they will open more than pockets." With that cryptic blessing or curse, he disappeared into the crowd. He didn't leave. He didn't walk away. He simply wasn't there anymore, like a playing card palmed by an expert set of fingers. Z's skin prickled. She looked down. The locket lay in her hand. Horror warred with triumph. She hadn't felt herself steal it. The man's warning had seemingly teleported the locket into her palm. Or she'd taken it when she shook his hand and her own muscle memory had outpaced consciousness. Either way, she now owned the prettiest piece of jewelry she'd ever seen. Still, the prickling continued, as though the locket knew it had changed allegiances. She slipped it into the hidden pocket sewn under her blazer's left lapel, snapped the compartment shut, and wheeled her table toward Greenmarket Square. The square was mostly empty at this hour, the vendors long gone and the antique dealers having locked their crate. She ducked into a narrow courtyard between 2 shuttered cafes. Safe from watchful eyes, she pulled the locket free. Up close, the metal was neither silver nor pewter, but some alloy that looked like both granite and moonshine. It radiated a soft internal glow, the faint pulse of a heartbeat. A stylized lion's paw was embossed on the surface, claws out, pads etched with miniature constellations. The clasp clicked open at her touch. Inside, instead of a portrait compartment or a miniature cameo, the locket held a shard of light real, impossible starlight, molten and alive, captured behind an invisible membrane. It twisted like a cub unsettled by its cage. The wind shifted, and with it, the air in the courtyard turned electric. Z heard something she had no language for, a grind of invisible gears, the hush of ancient stone doors uncoupling. Then the cub of light quivered, leapt from the locket, and vanished into the night sky with a sound like a dropped coin striking marble. The locket throbbed once, hollow and bereft. Z slapped it shut, suddenly terrified. Her world was sleight, trickery, magnet-rigged props, not glowing creatures birthed from jewelry. She stuffed the locket back into her blazer and headed for her flat at a fast jog. Above the city, Table Mountain brooded, its flat crown obscured by a cape of clouds locals called the tablecloth. Normally the sight comforted her, a reminder that even giants liked a soft blanket. But tonight, pale luminescence flickered behind the mist, as though gigantic lanterns had been hung among the sandstone cliffs. She reached her building just as sirens wailed in the direction of Kloof Street. From the rooftop she saw the lights racing uphill. A second siren chorus rose from the University of Cape Town's campus. Then another, near the Botanical Gardens. Z's phone buzzed. A push alert. Multiple power failures in City Bowl, Devil's Peak and Kirstenbosch. Residents advised to remain indoors. Below the text, a blurry photo. Not downed cables, not looters or car accidents. A lion, not tawny or corporeal, but stitched from stars, its pelt a tapestry of the night sky, mane flowing like solar wind. It roared at a traffic light, and the red, amber, green bulbs burst simultaneously. Z sat hard on the rooftop's gravel. She flicked the locket open and peered at the empty recess. A single fleck of light lingered in the corner, flickering like an ember. She had stolen the key that kept those things leashed. Her door rattled downstairs. Footsteps thundered up. She pocketed the locket and grabbed the collapsible baton she kept for muggers. Too late. The roof hatch banged open. The man with copper-beaded dreadlocks emerged, eyes catching the glow of distant city lights. His robe fluttered in the wind, hem smudging roof gravel. Behind him climbed a second figure, a woman whose headscarf was patterned with spiral galaxies. She carried an ebony staff capped with a carved lioness. Z raised the baton. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean—" "Look, I'll give it back." "Meaning is irrelevant," the man said. "Consequences are not." He approached, palm out. "The locket? Please." She handed it over without argument, relief flooding her limbs. He weighed it, sighing. "Cracked?" he murmured. "Like a padlock whose shackle you've snapped. Arresting the pride will be harder." The woman studied Z. Her eyes were older than winter. "You touched the light and did not burn. Rothiwa, is she marked?" Rothiwa, apparently the man's name, nodded. "She is." "I'm not anything," Z protested. "I'm a street hustler who stole from the wrong man." "Every choice is a ticket punched," Rothiwa said. "Yours bought you a seat in a war most people pretend not to see." Lightning flared behind Devil's Peak, but no thunder followed. Instead, a roar rolled over the city, deeper than thunder, older, the roar of something that remembered the Pangean night. "We can debate later," the woman told Rothiwa. "The pride hunts." Rothiwa faced Z. "Help us return the key piece, or the lions will drink Cape Town dry of souls. Their thirst is astronomical." "You have the locket," Z said. "Use it." "The locket is merely frame. Its heart has fled," Rothiwa answered. "You jarred it, and it ran like mercury. We must lure it back. Only the one who dislodged it can manage that." Z laughed. High, thin. "Your cosmic lock lost its battery, and you're asking the thief to do tech support?" The liner staff woman extended her hand. "I am Marar of the Cirrus Fold. Swear the Cape's salt and mountain to me, and I'll show you how to trick the heavens." Z stared at the offered grip. The city sirens screeched below. Every headline tomorrow would say riots or freak meteorological surge. Anything but ghost lions spawned from starlight. She could run, pretend none of this touched her, wait for dawn and hope daylight banished myth. But the ember inside the locket flickered, tiny yet purposeful. For reasons she could not articulate, it felt akin to stage fright before the final flourish. She clasped Mara's hand. "Good," Miara said. "Let's fetch a pride." They travelled an ancient path invisible to civilian eyes, ascending Table Mountain not by cable car or Platyclip Gorge, but through switchbacks that folded reality. One moment they walked a fire road, next a string of stepping stones suspended above dizzying ravines of starlight. The night sky rotated beneath their feet, and Z realized they were moving along a ley line, the magnetic thread rumored to stitch holy sites from Timbuktu to the Cape, Rofiwa explained as they climbed. Table Mountain sits on a confluence of ley currents. Think of them as arteries. Magical blood flows. The lions are its white cells. The locket's shard anchored them at choke points. Without it, they roam. "Why lions?" Z asked. "Because this land remembers them," Mara said once. Cape lions ranged to the sea. Hunters wiped flesh away, but memory lingers in stone, in the constellations. We gave memory form and tasked it with guard duty. A fair trade until someone, she flicked Z a wry look, pickpocketed the cosmic leash. Z felt both ashamed and strangely exhilarated. Her entire life she'd built illusions to survive. Now illusions walked a mountain older than scripture. They topped a saddle where protea bushes trembled in a wind that wasn't wind. Ahead, the mountain's flat summit spread like an altar cloth. In the centre, a ruin of quartz pillars circled a pool of light. The fountain of the null star, Miara called it. The fountainhead of several ley lines. Around the pillars paced 5 lions made of constellations. Orion's belt along a shoulder, the Southern Cross inverted across a flank. Their eyes burned icy blue. They sniffed, agitated. "Where's the 6th?" Rofiwa whispered. "The matriarch," August answered. From above, a colossal lioness descended, shape blurred by nebulae swirling through her ribcage. Each paw touched stone with silence more frightening than any roar. Rofiwa extended the broken locket towards Z. "Your trick, Herald!" "What am I supposed to do? Pull a rabbit from its ear?" "Pull the shard back to its den," Miara said, "using the only craft you forged to perfection. Misdirection." Z swallowed. The ember inside the locket flickered in time with her pulse. She stepped forward, stage fright and euphoria braided in helix. The lions lifted their heads, nostrils flaring. She raised both hands. "Ladies and gentlemen," she whispered. Though her audience were cosmic predators, "watch the hands, not the sleeves." She conjured 3 coins, real ones, flicking them between knuckles. A classic routine, but something in the air changed. The coins glowed, reflecting the nebular firelight. Each flick left a streak of silver like comet tails. The lions watched, mesmerized. Z tossed 1 coin high. It arced over the matriarch's mane. Before it fell, she palmed it, classic vanish. But the vanish left behind not emptiness, but a faint echo of the coin, a hologram of potential. The lion's eyes tracked the ghost coin, not her sleight. A thought occurred. They chased memory. So she would feed them copy after luminous copy until they followed the brightest forgery straight into the locket. She produced more coins, each reflecting brighter than the last. With every vanish, an afterimage hovered. The air between her and the pride thickened with silver wisps, a net woven from possibility. The ghost lions prowled amid illusions, backs twitching. Z twisted her wrist, gathering the afterimages into a single swirling orb. Her greatest illusion. The orb pulsed star-white, the same hue she'd seen in the courtyard. The shard. Or rather, the shard's desire to return. "Meow," Rafiawa murmured. Z flipped the locket open, aiming its hollow heart at the orb. The orb surged forward. Instinctively, she muttered the patter she'd used for years, "Nothing up my sleeves." Only this time the words were a spell. Wind sucked inward. Silver illusions collapsed, funneled into the locket. The orb compressed, becoming a cub of starlight once more. It squealed an infant roar and streaked home. The locket snapped shut on its own. Silence descended, broken only by Z's ragged breathing. The lions froze. Their eyes lost focus, as though waking from dream. One by one, they padded toward the circle of quartz pillars, settling on pedestals aligned to cardinal directions. The matriarch knelt by the fountain, tail curling around her forepaws. She met Z's gaze, a momentary communion, and inclined her great head. Then each lion dissolved, starlight unraveling into the constellations overhead, where Orion and Crux resumed ordinary patterns. The night felt smaller, human-sized again. Mara exhaled. The pride is home. Rofiwa clasped the locket, inspecting its surface. The lion's paw emblem glowed softly, pulse steady. Repaired, thanks to a thief's flourish. Z's legs gave out. She sat on the cold stone and laughed until tears blurred the Milky Way. They should have stuck to cell phones. Mara crouched beside her. We stick you to something better. Which is? The Fold could use a magician who persuades starlight, Rofiwa said. His tone remained solemn, but warmth peeked through. The lions will need future caretakers. Apprenticeship pays poorly in rands, but generously in wonder. Z considered the skyline below, the harbour lights, the distant sweep of Robin Island's lighthouse. Had anything changed for the people sleeping unaware in Musenberg flats, in gated Bishop's Court mansions? Tomorrow they'd wake, curse Escon for blackouts, post blurry videos of glowing cats. They'd move on. But she would remember that the world held corridors of myth under its pavement. She stood. All right, but I want a better costume. The blazer's falling apart. Mara grinned, and Rofiwa actually laughed. He extended his robe like a curtain. First lesson, conjuring attire. He shook the fabric, and it reshaped into a tailored coat the color of indigo dusk, shot with threads that mimicked shooting stars. He draped it over Z's shoulders. It fit as though sewn for her alone. A new wind swept the summit cool, briny, ordinary. Dawn's first blush painted the horizon. Welcome, Warden Madakane, Mara said. Below, the city stirred, ignorant of how close cosmic teeth had grazed its dream. Above, the constellations resumed their silent vigil. Somewhere between, a street magician tucked her baton away, adjusted her new coat, and found her pockets empty of coin, but infinitely full of sky.